And if we can start shifting that, like, success is not about money, then we
Mhm.
can actually look at ourselves as success, and then we can actually feel like we have enough value to share with others.
And I am joined again by Troy Flathau, my brother and entrepreneur and life extraordinaire. Hit record this time, so we are officially good and live.
Yeah.
Welcome
Yes.
back.
Yes. Thank you for having me again, Ashley. It was a lot of fun, like I said, last time talking. I feel really like I was thinking about it before I got on the show because I woke up and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I got the podcast with Ashley
Mhm.
today, and it's like nothing I feel like I have to gather myself for or to stress to grab my thoughts and ideas. I know that I can like come into this space and just sort of like just talk, just share. And I think
I'm glad.
that's a really good awareness for me. It's a good standard that I want to have when going into other like shows and podcasts and
Yeah.
stuff and speaking engagements. Like I just want to find myself in places like this mentally where like I can really let the wall down and just sort of like openly share from a good space.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for that because it's a big uh, it's important for me to feel like
Mhm.
this to be able to access the yeah, you could yeah, the inner wisdom that I really like want to share with people.
Right.
And yeah, so what we're talking about before getting on, just that I'm going through a very existential phase of my life.
Mhm.
I think that myself and others have been very conditioned by our families with good
Mhm.
intentions
Yep.
or our culture and society that money is the driver. And the money is kind of the motive and it should be an intrinsic motivator, but I've turned down money before in the past and I'm going through another phase of that again. So like right before I
Mhm.
went into massage therapy, so I graduated high school in 2013. I was working for a landscaping company for like a year and a half and I didn't really like that too much. But then I found my way through a couple of jobs and then I landed this really good job with Feld Entertainment, which is a entertainment company that produces a bunch of live shows, and one of
Hmm.
them being Disney on Ice. So I traveled with Disney on Ice for like 9 months and saw a bunch of different cities. We were in a different city for every week for like 36 weeks. It was freaking phenomenal and
That's really
amazing.
cool.
Um, but once I went through one season of that, I just saw so many people like every
Mhm.
single night. So like you'd get into you would go into a new city on a Sunday. You'd leave Sunday. You'd get there maybe on a Monday or Tuesday, maybe a Monday, and maybe we wouldn't have our first show until like Thursday, maybe even Friday if we were really lucky. But usually it was Wednesday or Thursday. So we'd have about 2 days off. We'd get into a new city. We'd have like Monday, Tuesday, and then we would work. Well, after every show, so you'd have sometimes 3 shows or 2 shows a day
Mhm.
after every night, these vendors, would come up or these operators of like because oh sorry, I sold merchandise for
Mm.
Disney on Ice. So I
Gotcha.
wasn't skating. I wasn't skating or anything. So we're selling like overpriced snow cones and popcorn and plush toys and all that stuff,
Right.
doing the American thing.
Right.
And uh after every night, these vendors and operators would just like they would just talk about their money. Like that was it. Like that was all the
Mhm.
conversation was like pretty much like how much money they made and like what they're gonna buy with it and like they can go out drinking and partying or buying drugs or whatever. Like it was
Mhm.
such a party scene, and most often that was the topic of conversation. And I just found myself like I remember writing about it, and it felt like I was in a feeding frenzy. Like I was just a
Mhm.
bunch of sharks, and they were just we're just looking for blood. We don't know whose blood it is. We might even bite our own tail, but like we're just on this hunt for blood, and that blood being symbolic of money. And I realized I wasn't. This isn't the environment for me. Like this is fun.
Right.
This is the most money I've ever made in my life, but I was willing to turn it down because I knew that like, what's the point? Like, what is the point? And then
Mhm.
that's when I took all that money that I saved from the working on Disney on Ice, and I put it right into my massage career because I felt like there was a couple reasons though for that, like, I felt like I was behind in a sense,
Mhm.
like I was been graduated for 3 or 4 years now. All my friends are getting internships, they're graduating college with their bachelor's degree, they're making salaries, they're doing big things, and I was like, "Well,
Mhm.
I kinda need something," and I was like, "Well,
Mhm.
schooling will be done in 10 months, and then I'll be able to make maybe anywhere from 30 to $60 an hour," and
Yeah,
that was huge for me, and I was coming at it again from this thing of money. I
right.
thought that I was doing something good for myself, but now I'm here 5 years
It's the
later,
same loop.
I'm in the same loop. It's like, if you make money your intrinsic motivator, you're gonna have to face it one day, you're really gonna have to face that, and I thought I was facing it back then, thinking, "Well, if I have my own job, make my own money," which that's true,
Right.
that's nice, but, like, I think I'm still realizing that I'm selling myself short in so many
Mhm.
ways that, like, I'm not giving myself the chance to really remember what my dreams were or
Right.
are, and
Right.
so this whole thing really started about feeling like a chameleon and feeling like you're really blending into your
Mhm.
environment. You're not really listening to yourself, and that's the existential phase I'm in right now. Is like I'm not doing like I haven't had the motivation to really seek out massage clients and book massage clients right now. I'm
Mhm.
kind of coasting off of some of my savings because I'm just like if the reason I'm reaching out to a client is to get their money, I don't wanna fucking text them. I
Yeah,
don't wanna be a part
I
of
know.
that because I don't want that energy in my life, and so I'm
No,
really just like, what is the dream? What do I wanna do?
exactly, and I've kind of come to the same realization, and, like, I always ask myself, like, why when it comes to like, I have all these skills and I keep developing new skills or I end up in a different job and it always feels wrong. Like, it
Mhm,
feels the opposite of what I should be doing. It feels like this constant tension that the person that I wanna be versus the one that I need to be right now is never in
mhm,
alignment, and, um, again, most of the time, money is the motivator, like, we have to make a living, and, Josh, my partner, is very motivated by money. He's always, trying to make sure that we are covered, and I understand that it comes out of a place of, love because he wants to make sure that the family's taken care of, but also when you have this new like we have a new dynamic where he's a stay-at-home dad and I'm the sole income earner, so he's always looking to me to you know how much money do we have? Did you get any more clients? Like, we don't even have regular conversations anymore. The conversation's always around, are we making enough money? And I
mhm,
just get like I've been getting more and more like anxious and, like, just disgusted with myself and life in general of, like, I know I could be going to find clients. I know that they're out there. I know that I know the marketing tools that I need to do that will help me get those clients, but it feels bad. It just feels negative. It feels like I'm, yeah, like scraping the bottom of the barrel like everybody else again. And is this like, why am I doing all this work as an entrepreneur and putting myself through all this stress just to have that same life, like
mhm,
energy? It's not
mhm,
even about the lifestyle. Like the lifestyle, this is what I keep like panicking about because the lifestyle is great. I get to be home. I get to be with my family. We get to have time, but now there's still this conflict of like, well, I'm always have to be working in order for that to happen. And even when I am like with them, I'm always thinking about work
mhm,
because there isn't enough money and I don't have enough clients and like there's
mhm,
this hustle all the time. And I've been trying to become an advocate for healthy hustle, but in the same sense, like in my own life, I'm seeing how people get stuck in this loop of like, I want to have this lifestyle, but I can't get the things figured out on the work side, my career path, the things I want to do for the world in order to have the lifestyle that I want. And I
mhm,
know, again, I know there are steps like figuring out, exactly like what does feel good when you want to offer
mhm,
it to the world. But then along with that comes the fact that do people really want to pay you money for that? And are you
mhm,
willing to go through the uncomfortable phases to figure out whether, like, that does make you feel good? Because there's this like, there could be tons of things that you think might be that, and
Yes.
really we're just trial and erroring and trying different things. And, how long do you have to give something in that yucky phase of I've got to get money
Yeah.
to determine whether that's the thing that is feeding your positive energy and it's your thing that you do want to do for the world, your meaning, your purpose, whatever that
Yeah.
might be. And so I just got like really negative feelings about all of it. Like I'm like, well, I might as well just go back to work for someone else because then at least I don't have to worry about money and
Yeah.
I can have the lifestyle, right? Like that's where I've come back to at this point is like I I'm now having the same thoughts I used to have about working for someone else about being an entrepreneur because
Yeah.
again, it's all around money. It's so focused on money all the time that it just creates that same scenario.
I think there's a couple doors that you're opening up, because all of it is bringing such a great awareness, and like I just resonate with you so hard. So there's a couple of things that I think about here where it's like, I mean, our situations are much different, and they have a much different weight. It's like I don't have the two kids, the young kids for one. Like Aiden just got a job, so
That's
she's
great.
really up and on her way. Yeah, and she's loving making money and saving it and stuff. And
Yeah.
so there's that responsibility she's taking on. So like I don't
Mhm.
have the little ones that require so much attention.
Right.
Um, and I don't own the house. It's like the house is almost paid off, and it's like there's all these little things, right? So I'm like as low as I can be as far as like what I need to bring in every month, which I'm very
Mhm.
thankful for.
Yeah.
But so the reason I preface all that is like I do see this, and I'm just regurgitating. I know that I
Yeah.
don't have any real awareness of this, but
No, feel
um,
free.
the, the Gary V, he talks about how like, well, I think a lot of people, which I don't think this is the case for either you and I. It's like a lot of people want the money to buy
Mhm.
the things to flex something. And
Right.
it's like if you really want a dream, you have to fight for it. You do have to put down things that you want. And it's like, well, can you find a new place to live? Can you rent? Can you
Mhm.
live in your parents' basement? Can you do all these things? It might be uncomfortable, it might be shameful, but if it's really
Right.
like a dream of yours, you won't
Mhm.
let that sort of stop you. And I think like that right there, that door, um, it it's worth really being aware about, and I think that's like
Mhm.
what I'm trying to figure out now too. Is like I don't want just the money to flex on certain things and buy
Right.
things. I just want to feel like I'm moving forward and I'm
Mhm.
doing things that like that yes benefit me, but like also benefit other people. Like I have
Mhm.
such a hard time, I think, selling my professional self
Right.
because I want to give things away. And that's good and it's also not good, right? For
Mhm.
business. But like I, I to back what I'm saying up, I listened to this podcast called Philosophize This, and it's this guy named Stephen West, and he just goes through all these old philosophers and ways of thinking. Can't remember the philosopher he was talking about, but she had brought up the idea that in order to be free,
Mhm.
what people forget that the only reason why we can be free is by the will of other people, right? So it's like it's pretty much this idea that she was talking about the archetype of the adventurer. The
Mhm.
adventurer thinks they're free. I'm going to go out and do this
Right.
journey, and I'm going to have this experience. I'm going to go and evolve myself and kind of selfishly live life, but not in a just selfishly living life, right?
Mhm.
For yourself and maybe for your immediate family. But even those types of archetypes still miss the loop because or they miss the boat because they are still looking at life from a perspective of selfishness and that like
Right.
true freedom comes in serving other people. And
Right.
so it's like, okay, maybe what I need to be doing is like actually looking at the communities that I'm trying to serve and not trying to jam my own philosophy into a community. It's
Right.
like we're going into like a recessionary period and
Yep.
like I I don't know how to sell massage to people who can't
Mhm.
afford it. And it's like okay, but then there's always in times of recession, there's like people who have money and who are willing to spend it. And it's like
Yep.
I think okay, all this to say without getting jargon and going into places I don't really know of, meaning doesn't really exist is what I'm learning
Right.
about myself. It's
Right.
created. You are
Right.
not gonna find meaning. It's like
No.
you just have to create and develop a better story about what you're doing. And
Mhm.
I think for me, also tying this right back in, you know, I have thought, "Well, maybe I can go and get another job." But
Mhm.
I fucking know when I do that, I'm not gonna be any happier. I am not
Right.
gonna be any more fulfilled. And it's like, so I guess what I'm doing now is, like, I really wanna be an entrepreneur, right? If I'm and
Mhm.
it's not even about fucking labels, but, like, God, it's the only way to really communicate things. Um, if you really wanna be that, I think, like, getting your hands in multiple different experiences.
Mhm.
So, I'm in the massage industry right now, but now I'm slowly getting into, like, small scale farming, like, super small,
Mhm.
like urban farming with microgreens, I wanna
Mhm.
start that and maybe try selling it, thinking about possibly getting into, like, landscaping and lawn mowing because I
Mhm.
know these things are what people need all the time, and you
Right.
can use these to stack each other and to network
Exactly.
while serving people, and so I've just been trying to think like, "Okay, if I'm an entrepreneur, I don't need to stick to one industry. I can
No.
have 5 hands in one and just
Yeah,
like
you
if
can.
4 of them fall, you'll find out the one that you like and do. And so
Yep.
I think I've been trying to, like I said, force my philosophy into places that don't need it yet, that
Mhm.
are not well lubricated for that.
Right.
And I want to just start actually looking at life and reality
Mhm.
for what it is and not
Yeah.
what I want it to change into being. If people don't want a massage right now, cool. Ain't gonna stop me. Not gonna go get a regular job because
Right.
I know there's a reason why I've made this leap. And it's almost like it's like you've jumped okay, like, I just see this, the boat is setting sail, right? And you almost missed the jump, and
Mhm.
you're running down the dock, and the boat is still going, you're running down the dock, and at the last second, you jump over and you get on the boat, and you're like, "Yeah," and that boat is entrepreneurship, right?
Yep.
You've been on the boat for a couple of weeks, and you're like, "Man, fuck," and that could be an analogous amount of time, but you're like, "Man,
Right.
fuck this, I wanna jump back," and you turn, you can't even see the
It's
shore.
gone. Yeah.
Where are you gonna jump to? You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like you've made the decision, you've made the idea,
Mhm.
maybe on some improper motivations at start. Maybe you just frantically like, I need to do this because it'll solve my problems. But
Yep.
regardless, like I think you're here now and like that for me, it's just a matter of not giving up, that, like, there will
I
be a
know.
break in the storm, that there will be the clouds will separate. That I'm hoping at this point, and I don't even like using the word hope, like, I'm just having strong faith that,
Right.
like, I wouldn't have done this if I didn't feel like it was right, and I think this is a thing for you and I to remember too, like, this is also a process of retrusting yourself.
It
We've been
really is.
really disconnected with that, and it's like, it's uncomfortable, but it's like it's just
Mhm.
grinding up all the decondition all the old patterns of us, and that's what I mean, I think
Yeah.
this existential phase I'm in is a real deconditioning time. It's like, I'm not doing things for money, it's stressful as fuck right now, but the clouds are gonna break, and they
Yep.
might not break soon, anytime soon, it might be 8 years, It's like,
Right.
I'm not giving up, I'm not giving up on this because I know that it really does hold a very deep value to me, and that's just what even I can talk like this and I can get stressed and I can go
Yeah.
and talk about the sorrows, but, like, when I really do look around in my life, I realize, like, I have a lot to be grateful for, and, like, I just gotta anchor to that even if it doesn't feel
Mhm.
good 100% of the time.
Yeah. And I think some of it too is so I was talking with, another entrepreneurial mom the other day and about, like, just the process of entrepreneurship, and it truly does, like, turn your life into a mirror because every decision you make, everything that you can do, everything you can't do just constantly brings up all these things that you've been, like, suppressing your entire life because you have to face it. You have to face the things that you've buried that you didn't like about yourself or the things that maybe, the things you were influenced by as a kid and that you didn't realize had changed those actual intrinsic tendencies that you were born with. And like this it's an ugly process because at the same time, you still have to run your business, and you have to, as a parent, I still have to take care of my kids, and I have to be a good partner and all these things, and so, like, the weight of all of that coming through, it's like, um it's like going to therapy, but on steroids because it's all happening all at one time, and
Mm,
it's just a lot, like, it's so much, and it just compounds, and I think that's what really leads to so much of the burnout that people experience, and I think that's why a lot of people do quit when it comes to and then they feel terrible about it because, yes,
they
like,
do.
it very much is like you just jumped into the ocean
Yeah.
and now you're drowning because that shore that was there before is gone, and
Mhm.
you can't really go back because you now you know.
Yeah,
You've
you know.
you've
Yeah.
seen you've gotten a glimpse of the other side and the
Mhm.
what it really means to be free.
You're
Um,
taking the red pill, man. I
you've
mean, it's not
taken the
gonna
red
it's like
pill.
you've opened your eyes.
Mhm.
It's like Morpheus said, if you take it, you will never be able to untake that experience. And it's
Yeah.
like, I think it's a baptism by fire. And I think the way through it for me, and I think the way I get through a lot of things in my life, and I think
Mhm.
the reason why I have the level of confidence that I do, even though I tell myself I'm not a very confident man, I realize when I look at myself, like, I have improved a lot, and it is through vulnerability.
Yeah.
And it's doing something a podcast like this, not trying to
Yep.
tell people, "Yeah, yeah, we're millionaires, kind of, kind of. If you just shape the sentences and make it look like this and talk about." That's why, again, I don't wanna get in the habit of talking about things I don't know. I wanna really be
Mhm.
honest and say, I don't know a whole lot about making money. But you know what? I do know a whole lot about the path of meaning. And I think
Mhm.
when people want success, they do want money. I want
Yeah.
money. Fuck. But like, I,
For a reason, though. It's not
yeah,
just about the money to create
yes,
status, it's about
yeah,
the money to be able to create more of the
do,
freedom that you
yes.
really have been searching for.
That's right. You have projects and ideas you want to get off the ground. Well, it
Mhm.
takes money in this day and age. So it's
Yep.
like I want the money too, but I think like this is the whole thing I'm in right now is like I want to be successful, and what that means to me is I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel like I'm
Mhm.
making an improvement. And I know about that. I know about
Yep.
that path. Like I don't know how the money matrix works, but I have wrestled with the dragon of meaning my
Mhm.
entire like these past almost 10 years. And it's
Mhm.
like the path that wavers and it goes up and down, and it's like that's what I can help you with. I was having a dialogue with one of my friends. She's an amazing intellect, and she is a professor at Purdue.
Mhm.
And she's got a PhD, I think, and I don't know what it's in, but she's a writer, dude. She's
Mhm.
phenomenal. And we were talking about a little bit like along the same lines of this. And I was telling her, and I was being open and vulnerable with her, and she just said this line. She's like, "I'm a shit show, and I think I can help." And I was like, what do you mean? Like you're a shit?" She's like, "No, okay, this like now you say it." And I was like, "I'm a shit show, and I think I can help." And she's like, and I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "That's it. Like you're a shit show, but you
Yeah,
think you can help." It's like you don't
that's
need to be a
totally it.
millionaire entrepreneur. You don't
You
need to be
don't.
a money-making mogul. It doesn't like,
No.
people look at you for a resource. They look at you for help. And I think that's one thing, the reason why I am so vulnerable on the internet, and it might feel
Mhm.
cringy most of the time when people see my
Mhm.
stuff. It's like that's my way of using this tool of the internet to show
Yeah.
you I'm just like you. And
Yep.
I'm just putting faith that people can authentically see it. And like,
Yeah.
if the ones want to cringe, I guess cringe. But I really just trust that in 5, 10, 15 years time that
Yeah.
really evolves, and it turns into something much deeper than just,
Well,
oh
and
God, Troy's saying cringy things. It's like, well,
keep in mind,
fuck.
though, that not everyone is your audience, and not
Right,
everyone is in the right place at their
right.
time in life to be accepting of the message that you're sending out. So, it's not cringy, it's just
Mhm.
that they're not your audience. They're not ready for that message. So,
Right.
don't look at
I
it in the negative
I
sense.
I know, I know. I had a guy I put out, I don't remember what the hell the video was about, but I was sharing, whatever. something, and it was like the first comment. He's like, "Cringe, cringe," and I was like, "Well, if you like this video, don't stop there. There's so many more cringe worthy videos on this channel. Like, have fun searching, kind of thing." And it's like, I'm realizing like I just need to embrace the things that feel
Mhm.
natural. It's
Yeah.
because I think we feel cringe, right? Because we have this
Mhm.
hive mind idea that
Right.
all our content needs to look alike and it all
Yeah.
needs to fit the same social structure. So anything outside of that is cringy. But
Mhm.
then we're also told by these moguls and these successful people,
Mhm.
talk about what you fucking know.
Be
Well, you can't do
yourself.
that. Yeah, you can't do that if you're trying to be a version of yourself that you don't even know how
No.
to be. You have this version that society wants you to be, and it's like,
Yep.
well, that's not you. And so
Yeah.
we've all forced ourselves into trying, not all of us, but
Yeah.
there are people like myself who are forcing themselves into
Mhm.
holes that really are not meant for them. And that's what I'm really trying to get away from. It's like, no, this might seem like like I said, it might seem cringy or it might seem what it is, but something else, but, like, what it is just, like, all I know. It's just how I
Mhm.
talk to myself. I talk to myself in a very inspiring movie hero way, like, I
Yeah.
just do. Like, I literally tell myself that, like, I mean, I envision myself kind of like a king, and I am the
Mhm.
creator of my own reality, and I practice magic through the way that I speak to myself and the way
Mhm.
that I carry out my ideas, and, that's the way that I communicate with myself. That's my inner language, and that's what helps for me.
Exactly.
And so,
I think you should be full 100% that. Like, this is the
yes.
so I kind of wonder, going back to, like, the chameleon thing, because I struggle with this as well, where I always get hung up on the way that I'm saying something or the way that I'm delivering a message or how things should look or, am I am I doing it well enough? Is it professional enough? All these things. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that I've, again, been conditioned over time to be reflecting what it is I see around me based on, past traumas and stuff of trying to just survive in the world, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so there's this really grungy period that I am going through right now where I feel like I'm just like ripping that piece of myself out
Mm.
like an alien, right? Like Stranger
Mhm.
Things, like ripping it out. And it hurts and it's like super painful and it feels wrong. And it's like, no, like get out. Like I don't want any of that anymore. And
Mhm.
like you just feel it like like yeah, like vomiting out of you
Mhm.
over time. And but at the same time as I'm doing that, I feel really empty inside because I have gotten conditioned to be used to having that part of me in there. And I don't like it feels like wrong to pull it out now, right? Like what
Wow.
what's left then if that's gone because I've attached that version of myself is me.
Everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
to everything.
yeah,
Dude, that's so good, actually.
but it's like, now what, right? So, like, I just feel so not myself. Like, I feel
But
like
yet it's the most you that you've
but it's
ever
the most
been,
me that I've
man.
ever been, and so it's,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
trying to condition my brain because of I think it's that hive mentality, right? That this is okay. This is
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
This is what it's supposed to be like, and there's this gap between, like, you constantly are in this constant battle in entrepreneurship of trying not to drown, right? And then you throw like these layers and I feel like I've gotten through quite a few of these like up and down waves, but this one feels really big. Like I think
Mhm.
this is like another really large like battle that I have to
Yeah.
get through to get to the other side. And I know that if I can do it, I will be better for it. And
Yeah.
things will be probably even easier too.
Yeah,
But
that's
oh,
what
it
you're
feels
talking about.
awful.
Yeah, what I know what you mean, man, and what you're talking about there is faith, and that is something
Yeah,
I hold on
it
to a
is.
lot. I
So
think
much of it is.
that is why I think I have turned to spirituality so much in my
Mhm.
life. I thought for it was because I was a virtuous person, but then I've really done some deep self work on myself and realized that spirituality and religion is just like a coping mechanism for death and like
Mhm,
feeling insignificant because
mhm,
all religion does is really take these very absurd, or I should say abstract emotions like
mhm.
the need or want to be significant, and
Yeah,
it puts them out into the cosmos. It you attach it to the term God or the universe. It can get
yep,
out of you, and you can be
yep.
like, well, if I just have faith, you know. So I think like being a spiritual person was always like thinking I was being virtuous, but really it's been my way to cope. It's like, how do you get through this? And some Christians might say, I just let go and let God, and that's a whole other
Exactly.
like conversation. But really, what they're saying is like, I
Have
I
faith.
don't know. Yeah, just
Yeah,
having faith and
yeah.
like and carrying like that positive, loving consciousness and, like, have faith with that love. It's not have faith and then go around and be a destructive asshole to yourself and your family, but it's like, have faith, like, just trust. Again, it's always about trusting the process, and so I'm
It
realizing
really is. It
it's like,
so
okay,
is.
I need to create processes that I wanna trust in.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
really wanna speak to your point because you really cracked it for me as well, like, you I didn't I think I just can resonate with the feeling of being so empty, but yet,
Mhm.
like, you're fighting it. Like, you want this new thing, but, like, the only way to do that is to really give up. You have to be empty. You have to give up everything. You have to
Yeah,
give up who
you
you think
do.
you were to get something new. And so
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
like the
you
death of that version of yourself, right? You have to go through the loss of what that
yeah.
was,
And
almost.
I want no, you're totally right. And it's like the ones who can make it through are the ones who can sit without having themselves for a minute. And I think that that's what I'm just trying to do is like, okay, you know, I'm
That's a
really
good point.
paying attention. I'm paying attention to the signs of the universe or God,
Mhm,
whatever you want to call it,
mhm,
and I'm really trying to make this thing right. I'm trying to do
mhm.
something good. I'm not trying to fast track it. I'm not trying to just squeeze by, say the right
Right.
story to make money. I am really I'm really just trying to be a leader and a really
Mhm,
good one. And
mhm.
I think we've had a wrong misconception of what a leader is, that a leader just like dominates and they put themselves in positions of power. Now leaders have power, but they don't, not because they dominate it, but
Right.
because they're vulnerable and they're willing to look at themselves and improve
Mhm.
things. Yeah, yeah.
Kind
So
of
I
like
speak to that too.
this is a really bad analogy, but I love Max is obsessed with Kung Fu Panda and,
Mm,
Master Oogway, the turtle in there,
mhm,
he's like the embodiment of what a leader should be, right? Where,
mm,
like and I also love, like, Gandalf. So I told you I love to call myself Business Gandalf. I thought that
mhm,
was fun, and, I did it out of jest at first, but it it really embodies what I think a leader should be, and you're right, I think even for myself, I think that's what I'm looking for is to, like, keep developing these leadership qualities in myself, even though,
mhm.
like, I never envisioned that for myself. I never like, I'm an introvert, like, I never wanted to be a leader, but I feel called, and I, like so it's again, it's like ripping out all of those things that I was told I couldn't be someone like that, all the things like, all
Mhm.
the reasons that, the world showed me I couldn't be, and it's getting back to, like, that calling and that feeling of, like, what is a leader and just showing people. It's
Yeah.
not even it has nothing to do with the qualities that you have and that you're, like, screaming those from the rooftop. It's
Mhm.
how do you embody that in your daily life and
Yeah.
continuing to show people what a good leader is, and a lot of that is like Gandalf, I think there's moments where you do have to step in because you know that it's it's your job to protect everyone else because they don't have the strength, the skills, the whatever the weapons, the tools to do it at that moment and the beast is too big, right? And so
Yeah.
you are the one that needs to take lead and again embody some form of leadership and power, right? But then there are moments where you are having full faith in people, and you smile and you encourage them and you let them do their and when things might not turn out the way that they expected, you're there again as a measurement of encouragement and comfort, and you just whatever wisdom, you can call it
Yeah.
wisdom, you
Yeah.
offer them the "I'm a shit show,
But
and let me
but I
help
think
you."
I can help. Yeah,
But I think
exactly.
I can help
Yeah.
mentality. And this is I think you're 100% right. I think that we've been shown, and this is probably why we don't feel adequate a lot of the times too, is because we've been shown a very false image of what leadership should be. And
What the
so
world is
what the
like.
world is, yeah. And
Mhm.
so when we don't like labeling ourselves that, and it feels wrong to go in that direction, and it feels like, well, I don't want to be that person. But
Mhm.
that's just because the image of what the world has portrayed that feeling into feels wrong to us, and so instead we're doing this other thing over here, but it is leadership. And so
Mhm.
I think a lot of it, again, like you said, is just continuing to put it out there. Even if it
Yeah.
is cringe, who cares?
Yeah.
It's cringe because they don't see, they're not there yet. They don't have this
Yeah.
level of awareness that there are other ways of doing things, that there are better ways of doing things, and
Yeah.
again, they'll get there at some point. We hope. You have to have faith,
Yeah.
you know?
Also to that point though of like of other people not seeing you too, it's just like there will always be people on this path that's gonna oppose you. There's always like opposing
Yeah,
forces. There's always tension, and I think for so long I'm looking for a fixed state of reality, and it's not ever gonna happen.
it's not ever
And I
gonna
think
happen. Yeah,
that's something
100%.
I yeah, that's what I have to remember too, and I think I
Right.
am getting that
That
out of my
false
system that, like
stability. We
yeah,
think,
yeah,
like, there's gonna be this, like, shore. At some
yeah,
point, we think we're gonna land on shore,
yeah.
and there
Yeah,
isn't
maybe for a
one.
moment. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
for a moment after a
for a
nice
hot
big
second.
success. Yeah, you
Right.
might really feel like, "Oh, I
But then
did
you're off
something good," but
again.
there's gonna be another release
Yeah.
of there's gonna be that pressure that's released is also just, like, pulling in more
Mhm.
pressure, and, like, I
Yeah.
think that's what you signed up for kinda
It
thing,
is. It
and I'm
really
really
is.
just, like, letting myself be involved in that. I had this thought the other day going for a walk, or where did I think about this? Doesn't matter. I was just thinking about like, okay, how can like entrepreneurs like help themselves
Yeah.
in other ways? Like I'm always thinking about like practical ways to like
Mhm.
do any of the things I'm thinking about. And I'm like, honestly, get into like an endurance sport. It doesn't have to be for competition, but like
Mhm.
an endurance event, even if it's just one day, you get on your bike and try to go the most mileage you've ever gone. Like
Mhm.
for me, it'd be like 40 miles. Like, let's try to just do 40 miles a day on the bike. Might take me 4 hours. But
Yep.
what that does is an endurance sport or event is a great symbolic representation of what we're
Is.
doing.
It
And if
is.
you practice enduring, you
Yes.
practice enduring pain, you practice enduring discomfort,
Mhm.
sitting in that's again, it goes back to the ice. It goes back to doing uncomfortable things for long periods of time.
Yep.
Not necessarily because you're trying to get a physical thing out of it, because like mentally it's
Mentally.
training
It's
you.
all about the mental aspect of it, because
Yeah.
you have to retrain your brain to not fall into survival mode every time you face pain or discomfort. Like, you
Yeah.
have to be able to keep calm when there are those moments, and I really agree. I think that there's so much to be said, and this goes back, if you haven't listened to the previous episode, I'm gonna probably just line these up in a series because 'cause they're gonna make
That'd be
sense
awesome.
together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, our previous episode on pain, go back and listen through it, because it's true, like, we've been conditioned to think that this is a negative thing, but it's not. And I think that's why you see a lot of these entrepreneurs are involved in some kind of endurance sport, or something where you have to, like, I think of even Gary Vee with the way that he takes risks, right? He
Mhm.
always plays this game of, how far can I push myself? And that's similar to like running marathons and doing things
Yeah.
like this, of of how far can I push myself, and then how can I far can I push myself next time? And that's
Yep.
really the same, it's the mindset that you need for entrepreneurship, because there is always going to be a harder next time, and it's going to
Mhm.
continue. And like, if you are not the person that can do that
Mhm.
over and over again, entrepreneurship probably isn't for you. Like, that's the
And it's
test,
not.
right?
Exactly. That is right. And I think and he always talks about self-awareness, and I think
Mhm.
that that is so true because it's like I think the reason why we burn out as well because we're not making the mental shift is like, is this
No.
right for me? It's like if this is right for you, then like you need to figure out how to do this sustainably. It's just like
Right.
on the bike, it's
Right.
on the bike. It's like this is why I love practical things. Like if I'm on the bike and I wanted to go 40 miles, but I'm at mile 30 and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna about like this is so uncomfortable. It's like, well then like you're 10 miles from home. What are you gonna do? Like call someone to pick you up? I mean,
Right.
you could do that, but like don't be a bitch, you know?
Right.
Like, so you can do that, you can call in for help, but, like,
Yeah.
realize, like, it or you can just suffer through it,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say suffer, but get through it, and my whole point of that is, like, be self-aware enough to know,
Yeah.
like, is this what you really want? Because it's not gonna
Yeah.
get
And
again,
I
it's not gonna
think
get easier, you're gonna get stronger.
no, and but I think there are, so when I'm trying to like build this concept of healthy entrepreneurship, right? The healthy hustle. I
Yeah.
think there are ways that you can do this that aren't so detrimental. So you can be self-aware enough to say, I know that I can do a 20-mile ride today. I'm going to push it to 22 instead of
Mm,
30.
mhm,
Instead of, because a lot of the times in entrepreneurship, there's like this flashbang of, I need to hit these giant goals or I'm not successful. And I need to do it in this amount of time or I'm not successful. And I don't think that that's necessarily always true. I think it's healthier and more sustainable for us to set these smaller instances of like being self aware enough to know, like, just past your limit and keep doing
mhm,
that over and over and over again, instead of
mhm,
these huge gaps where we feel like, I know I'm not going to make it, and then the doubt comes, and then we want to, like, we just quit, like, or
mm,
we get too burned out all the time because you're putting your body through too much stress where you
uh
could have just done it in a smaller dose. What do you
You
think?
know yeah, you're triggering it's great. You're triggering a thought of mine because I've been doing some research for the pain podcast. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
kinda nerdy here and, like,
No, please do.
try not to talk about things from a perspective that I don't know, but the thing I do know is, uh so I've been looking into flow states.
Yeah.
So, I
So
don't
many
know
people talk about that. There's so much coaching that's starting to emerge about flow states.
yeah, and I was looking into pain about, like, I don't know how I got onto flow states, but when I started learning about it, it's like so danger. So like they're doing a lot of studies with high performance or whatever it's like athletes, like
Mhm.
snowboarders or motorcycle riders who do like flips in the air,
Yeah.
like shit like that. Because the higher the level of the danger, the more your prefrontal cortex, which is part of your brain that is the logical decision making,
Yeah.
it's your self-monitoring part of your brain
Right,
that
right.
says, it's like judging
Danger.
yourself,
Yeah.
you danger, right, right.
Yeah.
When you're in danger, and I can actually attest to this because I had a flow state when I was walking the Appalachian Trail because
Mhm.
we're up this peak we had to like make to get picked up at a certain amount of time, so we're like running.
Mhm.
We ended up like running down the mountain, which was awesome. But like, there's a lot of danger involved in that because if I
Yeah.
went the wrong way, I could break my ankle. But it was so
Mhm.
much fun for me because I was so focused on every step. I could see it before. I could
Yeah.
see every 5 steps in front of me. I knew exactly where I was going. I wasn't thinking. I was not in thought. I was just flowing, right?
Right.
And so the idea is that like when you're in this flow state, your prefrontal cortex does it gets disengaged, so you stop
Yes.
judging yourself
Yeah.
because you're only focused on creativity. It's like
Yes.
managing these rocky terrain or doing flips in the air, right? So the level of
Yes.
danger and it decreases the prefrontal
Mhm.
cortex so that you can be original, creative, and inventive. Well,
Yep.
also what's released why those sports and why running down the mountain or running is so addictive is because you're actually, you're creating one of the 5 most powerful, like, neurotransmitters in the body, which I can't remember all of them, but, like,
Mhm,
dopamine, serotonin,
mhm,
and I even think, like, endorphin is one of
mhm,
them, which endorphin is, like, the body's morphine. So, like, there's a lot of feel-good chemicals that are being
mhm.
produced, and I'm just realizing, I wonder if and it might be unsustainable or unhealthy, but
Mhm.
it's the reality that like
Right.
maybe we self-sabotage and we
We do.
create this deficit of like, wow, where I want to be is way out here
Yeah.
because that the effort, the danger that's involved in that, when we hit it, it's that blowing open of those neurotransmitters, those feel good chemicals, because
Right.
it takes a flow state to get there. I think that maybe
Right.
we self-sabotage because we need the drama to motivate us to like go and do something, and it's a
Right.
fucked up thing, right? But
Right.
like it that's where my brain went, is like flow states. Like
Yeah.
it's addicting. The reason why we want more
Mhm.
is because it like really flow state is addictive.
Yeah.
It's like when we start a new business or start a new
Mhm.
project, that heavenly state at the beginning is so nice. But once we get familiar, those dopamines, those serotonins,
Yeah.
those endorphins are not
They
kicking in
go
as much.
down a
So
little bit.
you need a bigger thing. So
Yes.
I think this what we're talking about here really is like, yeah, great, have all that, do it sustainable or do it not sustainable.
Mhm.
I think the trick is like really practicing not judging yourself.
Yes. And so
Just practice not
so
judging yourself.
I actually ran into somebody else that was talking about that, and they called it survival and executor mode. And
Mm,
the prefrontal cortex that you're talking about is really that survival mode of thinking, and it's all like it's even on a chemical level, the way that your brain is operating, it shuts off the opposite though too. So like when you're in survival mode and you're using that part of your brain, it shuts
yeah,
off the creative parts
that
of
makes
your
sense.
brain, that flow state. So if you're in survival mode, it's impossible to be in that flow state.
That
So
makes sense.
this is the conundrum I have with being a parent, right? Because I I it's not just me. It's never just me. It's like that mama bear scenario of like, I can't sacrifice everything to run away because I have these cubs, right, that I need to take care of. So getting into that flow is so much harder. It's
Mm.
it's so much more difficult because there's always this survival instinct. Being a mother, it like, my brain just works that way. It's not something I can always just shut off.
Oh, okay, that's
Does that
great,
make
actually.
sense?
It does, because so I've been reading. I gotta get you the guy's name. I should have brought my laptop out here. I think
Yeah,
it's like Steven Keltzer, Clax? I
okay.
don't know. Anyway, he's a big guy into, flow states, and he's saying that and they're going around teaching this and stuff, but
Yeah,
there's triggers. You can
yeah,
actually set up, like, and trigger these flow states, and they're trying to use these high performance athletes,
mhm,
Navy SEAL, SEAL training, all these like high level beings,
yeah,
and trying to like reduce it down to like the business executive.
right.
And so there are like things that you can do. You can set up your environment. I think
Mhm,
I have the Snapchat or the I snap screenshot of the picture of it. There are these triggers that you can sort of set up your
hmm,
environment in. And I think distractions are one of those things that will like if you can create an environment that you feel like you won't get distracted in, that's all like out of your normal psychology. So like working in your bedroom, probably not a great thing because it's your psychology.
right,
You're associating that room with sleeping,
right.
so it's like I have my office downstairs, but the thing is, like, if people are home and I'm trying to work, like your dogs, you can hear
Yeah,
them
I
walk
can
up
hear
and
my baby crying right now, and
exactly,
it just pulls me away.
it pulls you away, and
Yeah,
so it's hard to get into that flow state with that,
yep.
and so I've been just thinking about, like, again, wow, I can't believe how many revelations I'm having, but it's again, why I think I'm in this battle of judging myself with this shame
Mhm.
of not wanting to do work right now, but I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay, wait a minute. I am doing things though, and I
you
have
are.
to really reframe the story that like this right here,
Yes.
we're
Is
building communication skills, so
Yep,
which makes me a better leader, which makes me a more effective communicator, right?
mhm,
That's just one. It's
yep,
like now when I go for my walk, today and I sweat it out, I'm practicing getting in the routine of that. It's like
Mhm.
I am just trying to find these little tiny triggers that make me the most inspired. So maybe after doing
Yeah,
5 or 6 of my daily routine stuff, I might have actually created inspiration instead of waiting for it. I might have been like,
right.
wow, something happened today. I feel really good. I'm just going to bust down for 15 minutes and write on my book right now. And that's going to put me
Mhm.
ahead. And I think for so long I've been like, well, I got to, business, make money and stuff. It's like,
Exactly.
actually, I'm just trying to build the infrastructure of my routine to support my dream. Because
Yep.
if I want to do things long lasting, and this goes right against your healthy grind, is like,
Yeah.
it's not even necessarily about doing it what I'm looking at from the perspective I'm talking about.
Right,
I'm
right.
not even saying do things sustainably or do things like what sustainably. It's just like look at nourishing activities that you can do and make
Yeah.
that also a part of
Part of
getting
your
business.
routine.
Yeah,
Yes, and I think that's the
getting
part
business
that
done.
we miss out on. So we talk about, like, work-life harmony and all the work-life balance and all these things, but we forget the self-care part of business, and it's not just, again, taking care of yourself, but how can you take care of yourself to create the best business owner that you could be? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, there are other things that we
Hmm.
might not have considered, like, listening to certain music really does get me in that flow state, right? It gets
Hmm.
the good endorphins going and everything, and I 100% agree. I just never looked at it from that perspective of, like, what does your daily routine need to look like in order for you to be the best operator that you can be? Because you do have to
Yeah,
be an operator,
yeah.
when it comes to your business, and again, it all comes down to you. No one's coming to save you. It's all on you
Hmm.
to make this work or not work, so
Sky
what
Daddy doesn't care.
Sky Daddy doesn't care. And how can, like, what are the, because we look at, like, task management and, like, oh, you need to, like, time block your day in order to be productive. Okay, that's a really vague concept.
Hmm.
What does productive mean? It does not mean
Hmm.
getting things done necessarily. It's, did
Yeah,
you achieve the best flow state to do the best work for
yeah,
your day? And this
yeah,
is where I keep getting hung up because, like, Josh will come to me and he's like, how much did you get done today? What did you do? What are you working on right now? And it's like, I don't know. Nothing.
yeah.
I don't wanna plan my day because I don't even know what I like, what's gonna get me closer. I need to take the time to step
Yes.
back right now. I can't be doing things right now. I need to look at,
Yeah,
what are my goals? What
yeah,
are the things that are going to get me closer to the next step, right? Of,
yeah.
like like you said, I think there's this misconceived preconceived notion of what being productive looks like, and that's that constant state of doing and movement and
Or
actually, like,
take yeah,
or yeah, taking, but
like
that's
getting
not true.
resources. Yeah, it's like you're only productive
You have to
if
be
you're making
learning or
making
what.
money. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there's so much of business that happens up in your head that people don't
Mhm,
see that is being productive, that is
mhm.
doing something to move your business forward. I think
Yeah.
80% of doing business is mindset. I really
It's
do.
mine. It's funny, I just saw that as you said it, so it might be 80% of it
Whatever. It's
mindset,
a
but
lot.
that no, 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 I agree with you that the majority of it is mindset,
Mhm,
but then it's like that 20% that is action and execution
mhm,
literally equals the same as the
mhm.
80%. Like the
It
80% might
does.
be more because it's mindset, but
Right.
like that 20% of action is where you're going forward. So it's like
Mhm.
I think we can I'm just kind of realizing this. It's like I think I can give myself some space that like
Yeah.
okay, you might spend 80% of your month like fucking up here. But
Mhm.
that's okay as long as what you're doing up here makes that
Results in.
20% effective as fuck. Like
Exactly.
if like the reason why we are entrepreneurs is because we can monetize our time in a way that we can't with
Mhm.
other employees. So like take the time and really get to know yourself so that when you go, you have it all.
Yep.
Like I make my month's rent in 2 days because the
Mhm.
other 28 days I've been fucking studying myself. I've been creating good things. I've been waiting
Yep.
for this moment and then like bam. Well, actually, I think I just needed to hear that for myself and get that out because it's like,
Good.
yeah, I've been really focusing on like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, and it's like, how about I just fucking focus like the
Yep.
avatar state and just
Exactly.
like when it's ready to go, I will
Mhm.
get every a month's work of done in 4 hours. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and let
Because
that be
how
okay.
productive are people really being when they're not in this flow state, when you're constantly distracted? And it goes back to when I talk about you can't be 100% focused on your work and your life at the same time. So many of us, we've been encouraged to be good at multitasking. And
Yeah.
that is one of the most negative concepts that you can put on someone because they will never be able to do the best work if they are constantly multitasking. And it's much better to get yourself in that state of flow, get the things that make you the best creator, the best leader, whatever that might be,
Mhm.
all in alignment so that when you do the action, it is 100% like the best that you could do and you are confident in that. And I think that's where we get discouraged too is because we get so caught up in the like I have to be doing all these things and it feels not good because we're
Yep.
not putting out this level of quality that we know we're capable of but we don't know how to get there, right? And
Yep.
if everyone encourages us like you can't be stagnant, you can't sit still, and that it's like you need to be doing all the time or you're not being successful. That's
Mhm.
not true. It's not
That's
fucking
not true.
true.
Yep.
And I'm tired of like and that's why
Mm.
this type of leadership is important, right? That's why
Yeah,
we're being called to do this because we need to show people that there is a different way, that it doesn't have to be like
that's
this,
right.
that your life doesn't have to be this constant battle of I want this, but I've got to do this because people tell me to. So
Yeah,
go for it.
like we have to let go of the idea
Mhm.
that success is money, and I know that's hard because again, it's
Mm,
conditioning, and conditioning is hard to break. Brainwashing is hard to break. So
it is.
people who are brainwashed don't know that they're brainwashed. I've been brainwashed
Exactly.
to think that money is important.
Right.
I'm still aware of it. I'm still literally in the process of breaking that up.
Mhm.
And I've been real, and I said this in the last podcast too, that I think I'm changing my concept of what success is. That success is only taking opportunity.
Yep.
That's success.
Yeah,
Like,
it
us
is.
hitting the red button today,
Yeah.
already a success because
Yep.
we said we had time. We're gonna practice our communication. Does this podcast make us a lot of money? Not right now, no.
Mm,
Does it give us anything right away? Other than just, like, a friendly interaction? Not really. But, like, what we're doing is investing in ourselves and each other in just
yes.
this moment that, like, and if we can start shifting that, like, success is not about money, then we
Mhm.
can actually look at ourselves as success, and then we can actually feel like we have enough value to share with others. So
Exactly.
it's like, and I made a video about this not that long ago. It's like I was like, "No, I can't make you, I can't make you a fuck ton of money. I
Nope.
can't teach you how to be like a money mogul. But if success was based on taking opportunity,
Mhm.
I could show you how to be successful. If your success, if what your success looks like to you is taking opportunity, I'm your dude. Like,
Mhm.
and I think you actually commented on the video because I was just saying like, I feel like if bravery was the metric of success, I
Yep.
would be right up there with some of the business moguls. But
Mhm.
because money is the flashy thing and attention is
Right.
the flashy thing, we don't feel as successful, and it kind of
Right.
stops us from getting into that that creative
Yeah.
child that really wants to just make art and play around.
Yeah.
So yeah, reframing in our mind what success looks like is like it's the next
Mhm.
move. It's like, how do you be successful? Stop looking at money, and
Yep.
then you will be it. Like, you will feel rich.
Yeah.
Now, is needing money a real thing? Yeah, but that doesn't that but let's not wrap our value into that. Like
Right.
I'm not saying, oh, this guy, lives in a naive place and stuff that like he doesn't really think about the repercussions of what he's saying. It's like I know exactly what the fuck I'm saying,
Yeah.
and what I'm saying is like success just isn't around money.
Right.
You can be successful and not make a lot of money. That's the
Yep.
point. So it's
Yes.
like money is a whole other problem that's
Right.
not associated with the problem of you being or not being successful.
Right.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
and some of it is, again, getting into the mindset and understanding that there is an operation part of this. And if you can look at it from an analytical standpoint. So the breakthrough that I had when it came to money, because I do have a lot of emotional attachment to money, um, is a calculator that my business coach had given me, and you literally just put in the amount of hours that you would spend for, the work that you do for a person, and it includes everything. It includes the stuff that they don't see. Not It's not just the time that they spend with you necessarily, right? And you put in um the number of hours you want to work in a month. What is reasonable for you? What can you handle? And
Mhm.
it calculates out how much you need to charge hourly, and it takes out the emotional aspect of what you should charge for your services. And I was really excited about that because I was
Mm,
finally able to look at it from a distant standpoint, right? And so for me, that was a tool that was helpful because it helped me get past that wall that I had put up for myself of
mm,
what to charge for my services. And now, like, I can go in and confidently just help people, right? I
mhm.
don't have to think about that process anymore and
That's a
constantly
good
worry, like, am I charging enough? Now I'm doing work for
mhm,
less, and that makes me feel like shit too. Or am I charging too much and I'm not worth that? It's not even about what it's you're not it doesn't put a value on your worth. It doesn't tie you to what you're charging necessarily. It's, this is how
mm,
much I need to make, and I'm not going to become rich doing it necessarily. This is literally like, if I were to go get a job, this is the hourly rate I need to go get. And
yes.
so I'm able to distance myself from, like, what I need to charge. And so this again helps me get more into that flow state. And honestly, like, when I first did this and I was able to go, like, have an actual um and not like a pitch, but just a conversation with the client, and they're like, "Okay, how much is it going to be?" And I just calculated it and did it, and they said yes. I was like, "Holy shit." Like, I
Yeah.
just felt so good because I was like, I didn't have to feel negative about the money thing anymore.
And you
And
don't have to
so
compromise you don't have to
no,
compromise yourself. Like, I think
no.
that's the thing, like, you just really unlock like, I want this formula from you to figure out this
Yeah, for
because,
sure.
like, honestly, we do wrap our value in it, but it's also, like, for me, I'll use, like, discounts and shit like that just to get people in to buy from me, and it's like, I'm realizing that's not the energy I want because what
Right.
I think I'm subconsciously putting out there is that I don't trust that I'm as valuable as what I am. Doing
Exactly.
it your way is like, bottom line, no issues, like, "Oh, can you do a deal? Can you give me $5 off?" No, I'm calculated to a T. This
To
is
a
what you
T.
get.
Yes,
This is
this
what you
is
get. If you don't
yeah,
want this, I'm losing money by trying to convince you to
right,
have it. If I
right.
just focus on the like, I'd rather get 10 more no's just to
Yep,
find 3 more yeses so that it will
exactly.
pay for what I need it, and I don't have to convince
Yeah,
people and compromise who I am. That's fucking
no,
good, bro.
it
That's
is
good.
good. It is. I was blown away, like, by the difference it made in just the way that I looked at it. So, I would definitely encourage, I'll send it along to you, and I'd encourage
Cool.
anyone else to seek out something like that, a way for you to discon if you're having this issue, like, with an emotional attachment to what you charge for your services, your products, whatever it is that you do in your entrepreneurship journey to get money, then try to find a scientific way to disconnect yourself from the emotional aspects of it.
That's a
Because
really good way to look at that.
yeah,
There's a guy, he's a Navy SEAL, a retired Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink, and he's got a really cool book. I haven't read it, but I've heard scripts about it.
I think I've
Um,
seen it. It's the audiobook too. I think
yeah,
I've come across
it's
it.
the
A lot of
audiobook,
people
and
recommend it.
I listened to it a little bit on the trail, and one of the things he said was like, "You're not trying to eradicate emotion. You know,
No.
you're not trying to get rid of emotion, and you're not trying to get rid of logic either. But it's like when one is giving you anxiety, or like when one fails, you have to use the other as far as you can. If you're so
Mhm,
logical and you're like, "Ah, da, 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 da," you need to lean into like art, trust, faith,
mhm.
the
Yep,
unknown, the unseen. But when you're like not motivated and you're like, you're in that really dark feminine place of
mhm,
just like not feeling motivated for anything, you need to use logic, like you said, and just
mhm.
like get action going. So I like that. It's not about erasing one or one is better than the other.
Mm-mm.
It's like using them to keep the tension.
That's
I like
awesome.
that.
Oh, I do love that. I didn't look at it from that perspective at all, so now I can apply that more intuitively to everything, like, when I'm
Yeah.
'cause I fluctuate back and forth because I always
Mhm.
feel like 2 different people, right? And I think that's the
Yep.
battle we face of, like, the logical part of us and then the more creative part of us, and there's
Yep.
actually, interestingly enough, there's um, a life coach that my one of my friends works with, and she teaches you, like, she does goddess retreats because she
Mhm.
teaches you how to be within your masculine self and within your feminine
Yep.
self, and those two things have attributes that can come together to make you successful, but it's knowing like which one you're in, and then like, yeah, what do you need in the moment to help
Yep.
you, and it has nothing
Yep.
to do with gender, it has nothing to do with any of that concept. It's all
Yep.
about the psychological and physiological aspects of the way that your brain functions
Yep.
and the using
Right.
them as a tool,
Yeah,
you know?
those masculine and feminine, saying those words are just semantics to
Right.
describe a very fundamental like masculine and feminine is the same thing as one and zero in a computer programming coding
Yep.
thing. Like life is binary. That's the way I
Mhm.
look at it. Life is binary. It's ones and
Yep.
zeros. There's a lot of gray matter too. I don't get me wrong, but like life is made up of hot and cold, a spectrum, and it's like in that tension, life is existing.
Like and subscribe for more stories on finding your way on your career path journey.